the source types, or your definitions of them. We've done content syndication, paid media, calling. We were discussing that it's physically calling calls, placing calls to contacts to qualify their interest. Interest singular and point final. End of sentence there. Right? It's interest. They would have an interest. Generally, the interest wouldn't be plural.
Okay, interest.
Their interest, whether they're interested or not, right? And then qualified conversations, right? Qualified conversations.
So you were still explaining the time frame because
Exactly. Qualified conversations. Now, between brackets, BANT, put BANT in there because that's the entry level of sales qualification, right? That's obtaining the original interest, right? BANT. And BANT is everything in uppercase. When you write BANT, because it's an acronym for budget, authority, need, and time frame, right? BANT, okay, qualified conversations BANT are passed on to the client, right, for further sales follow-up, right? To add to their pipeline. That's what you are passed on to a client. For further qualification. And now a WBL process, okay, qualification point final. You need to stop your sentences. Okay. A process exists and the one dot targets is the task associated with calling, right?
is associated
with calling, right? So if you open up a dashboard for me, calling.
Just delete this.
Just to there. Now go open up a digital process so you understand the relationship. I want you to open up one of the dashboards. It just says view, right? Don't need to edit anything unless you're physically editing things.
Yeah, miss.
Yep.
Dashboard. So, okay, you want me to open up a process?
Oh, just go there. Just open it up in a new tab, right? Okay. So
it'll come, okay, calling, okay.
Yep.
Okay, I see.
Do you understand it now?
Mm.
Right? So anything that is paid media and content syndication, right? Just
Goes
those
to
two that we've covered
inquiry.
goes to inquiry because it's a form fill, right? The person's a hand raiser and said, yes, I'm interested in what's publicized, right? Calling is different, right? And it's got a task of its own in the process because it's a physical task of calling that contact and qualifying whether they're interested or not. And that's why it goes from targets. And then if you see what's the route that it follows from targets, show me.
So the route targets and then comes to a decision, and then they can either decline, accept, or disqualify.
Okay, right. So normally calling will get either qualified, accepted, and then it goes to a 2.ql and it's passed on to the client because you've qualified there is an interest there, or whatever the client has agreed with you is the commitment for a AQL. But if it's disqualified, for example, Oompa was on my list. I called Oompa and Oompa said, "Get out of my face. I don't want to speak to you. Don't contact me." It's disqualified. You just remove the person, say it's disqualified, it's out of the process, and it needs contacting no further, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so now you understand how the source type then changes where the process will go to. Okay, good stuff. Right. Let's move on to your next one because there is another one there.
Okay, so it's GS.
DS. So what does that okay,
Generates.
what does DS stand for? If you don't understand what it stands for, you will never understand how to define it.
DS, I don't know what it stands for, to be
So how
honest.
can you put a definition against something that you don't know what it stands for?
DS. Well, okay, that's giving me something else.
Data enrichment as a service. Do you want to write that there? Begin your sentence with data enrichment as a service in brackets. That's what that stands for.
Data enrichment as a service.
So now look at the first letter, the first letter in each word. What does that all add up to?
Yes, DS.
Okay, so data enrichment as a service. So do you think that your definition has anything to do with data enrichment as a service?
Data is generated lead by prompting content, collecting details, and checking them, and delivering qualified lists generated lead from people who fill in the form, and use data enhancement by adding a missing job title using Zoom info. Yes.
So you still believe your definition is accurate?
Mm-hmm.
It is. Okay. So what does data enrichment mean to you? Let's Google it and put the definition on screen, please.
Data enhancement, right?
Yeah. So is data enhancement the same as lead qualification?
Data enhancement. Data enhancement is the process of improving existing data sets by adding valuable, often third-party information to create richer, more complete, and accurate profiles for better decision making, personalization, and targeting marketing.
Targeted marketing. So can you please take
Target.
that sentence? That is the definition of data enrichment.
So do you want me to erase
Keep it.
everything that I?
No. Just tab that so that it's out of the way. Click tab where you have generated, where you start your definition. Please just tab the content down.
Okay.
So where you have G,
Okay.
when you start, okay. So you left the word there. Okay.
Oh, okay. You want me to take all of it?
All of it
Okay.
and tab it down a couple of times that it's out of the way, right? And now paste that definition in there. Right. So data enrichment as a service. So now, do you know how to make that formatting be the exact same as the rest in your document? Go to another place. So go to one of the words where your cursor is. Stop moving around, Oompa.
Mm-hmm.
So select a word in your previous
Just
content, just a word. Just double
in my
click on a
previous
word.
content.
Double
Okay.
click on a word so that it gets highlighted. No, what are you doing? No, no, Oompa. Select the word, nothing else. So where you say calling, calling physically placing calls. Can you read that?
Yes.
So go to the word physically, double click, stop, right? Now go to the ribbon at the top of Word, right? And on your far left corner, right, you've got paste, cut, copy, and format painter. Can you click on
Yes.
format painter for me, please? Right? And now highlight all the text that you pasted in for the Diaz definition. And it will change it to the format of what you have in your document. And there you go. Right? So you learned how to use format painter. Good? It's a very good
Yeah.
tool to know. Okay, just whatever text you want to replicate the format, highlight it, and then go to Format Painter, you'll be able to do it. Okay, so DS, so you've got the definition there, the process of improving existing data sets by adding valuable, often third-party information to create richer, more complete and accurate profiles for better decision-making, prioritization, and targeted marketing. So DS is something that you do even before you market to the person. So for example, a client has a list of contacts, right? 1,000 contacts, but all they have is, for example, their job title and the company they work with, right? And they say, data enrichment, I want their job titles. I want to know a phone contact that I can reach out to them so that I can do marketing, right? And for example, I want to know which area, which department of the business they work in, so that then if they work in IT, we can in future target them with IT messages. If they work in finance, we can target them with finance related information. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right? So what you're doing is you have one data set and you're just filling the gaps of the things that you need. And that's data enrichment because you're enriching something. You're making something better. You're giving it more information.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that is data enrichment. So that can go to any level, right? And in our digital process, if you go back to it, we can do enrichment either via our in-house validation when we do our validation, right? We can also do enrichment inside there, but we can load data already with a source type of being enriched. So the client gave you a data set, you've already enriched it. That's when they use Lusher and Zoom Info and all of that, right? They can use third-party tools to get the information that's missing, and then they can load that in either for the purpose of calling, right? We can either call, then you define what you want to do with the data, but you've enriched it. That was the source of it. That's why we've got a source type of enrichment. And generally speaking, DS goes through the INQ route because you've enriched the data, but then you go and do content syndication on top of it, and then you do the validation and you take it through the whole funnel.
Okay.
Or you can do data enrichment and use it for a calling list. Then it would go down targets, but you would define what you do, what marketing activity you're doing with it. But it precedes going into our WBL process. Does that make sense?
Yes. D so DS does not work alone as a source type.
Not normally, because if you had a data set, if you had a client and you had a data set, right, that was
Mm,
core, right? So you ask for it to be enriched. You don't just
mm.
enrich a data set and do nothing with it.
Do nothing, yeah. No,
Right? You
makes sense.
target that list. So you can target it via calling, you can target it
Calling,
via content syndication, or even paid media, right? You might say go after all these
yes.
organizations and put out ads on LinkedIn, Google, whatever platform you're using, and then make sure that these people know that I'm out there as a business and let's try to generate some interest, right? But it would be your starting point, right? Your data wasn't good enough for you to go and do the marketing immediately. You had to do something else to it. And if you want to tag that data, right, to know that it came from a data enrichment source first, then you can load it in as data as DS, the source, immediately. Even though you can do then other marketing activities to it. You can do hundreds of marketing activities based on one DS activity, right? Because you've enriched your data.
Yes, no, that
Yeah?
makes sense.
Makes sense? Okay, good stuff.
Mm.
So let's go back to your document because now we've covered the four source types, right? And let's just go and check what you had written in yours because it generates, so it doesn't actually generate a lead, right? That's why I didn't want to use a definition because it doesn't generate a lead. It doesn't even generate an inquiry, right? It's preparing the data for further marketing, which is why the definition in Google says that it allows you to build better profiles so that you can make decisions on how to prioritize and use the data for marketing. Okay.
Mm.
So what would you like to still use of your previous content, Umpa?
I think maybe mm, mm, Mission code return. And first, no, I think I don't want to use anything.
Okay, so that's fine. So if you want to delete that, but I'm
Yes.
happy for you to use whatever you want as long as you're happy that you understand what's there, right? So now you understand the difference between those four source types.
Yes.
Okay, right. So your next question is, where does bottom of funnel start? Okay, no. I want you to go up to those source types because you started the sentence by saying, what's the difference? But what you've done there is defining them. You haven't said what's the difference between them. So what's the difference between them?
I think defining them explains the difference.
I wouldn't say that because if you're looking for differences, you would say content syndication and paid media are digital ones, right? Which you then move further down the funnel, right? They go directly into the funnel and they are digital as such. Calling is based on having a list, a physical list that then you go after. It's not form fills as such, which is what content syndication and paid media are. And data enrichment is a something that you do either before you even start your marketing or within content syndication if you've agreed with the client that you're going to enhance the data in the validation process. So see, that's the difference between them after having defined them.
Okay, so okay, I'll edit in.
No, but wait.
So
First you've defined them, right?
yes,
So I'm just querying the sentence that you've put as the question, right? Because at the moment, everything that you've put under source types is just the definition of source type,
definition.
right? So where you have source types, do you want to precede it with definition of, and then you can answer your question of
So,
what's the difference between the
source.
source type. Wait, where you have source types
Yeah.
beneath that source type, prefix it with definitions or just beneath it, whichever way you want to go. Definitions. Right. So what's the answer to the difference between these source types?
So you said the content and okay, let me shoot. Okay, I don't know how to put it.
So I would put it beneath it, beneath what is the difference. You either put that question after all of your definitions or you answer the question right there. That's up to
Yeah, I
you,
think I
right?
should just put it to make more sense.
So you first got the definitions, right? And now you're saying what's the difference, right? So okay, so then I agree with that. So what's the difference, Umpa? What's the difference? In your words.
So the difference,
Mm-hmm.
uh, you, you just said now that
Yep,
the
content syndication in paid
and
media
paid
are,
media
are
are
digital form
digital.
fills. So let's write that down. All right. Calling. Okay. Calling. So calling is based on a physical list of contacts.
Um,
No, list of contacts which are
of,
called,
of contacts
which are called.
which
So it's not a form fill. They are physically called. Yeah. You pick up the phone and you contact those people. Data enrichment occurs prior.
well, let me just say
Diaz.
uh,
No. You have to use the right. Diaz, DE, data enrichment as a service, AAS. But because no, come on, Oompa. Okay, and the AA, because it's as A, they're not, they just,
So it's triple A.
no, it's double A, but those are lowercase a's, as A.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay, right. So data enrichment prior to
Uh,
target data
Data
enrichment to allow
enrichment.
targeted marketing.
Uh, to
Marketing,
marketing.
right? Because then you can decide, do you want to call this list? Do you want to use it for paid media? Do you want to use it for content syndication? Or do you want to use it for something else? Do you want to publish them invites to an event, whatever it is, right? So we're good that we've gone through the definitions and we've got the difference. Happy with that?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, yes.
Okay. So I'll close this. We need to move on to the next meeting.
Yes, okay. And then the task for today, should I call you
I
after
will.
the meeting?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Okay. All right. Bye.